Review the Light. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Imalent DD2R, but really quick, if you haven't yet, go ahead and click this link right up here to subscribe to my YouTube channel, this link right up here to follow me on Facebook, and then if you're interested in any more of the details, I'll put the link to the full review right down here in the annotation, right down there in the description, as soon as the full review is ready. So, the Imalent DD2R is in the Serious series for Imalent's couple of startup models. Imalent's a fairly new brand if you haven't heard of them. So far, all the models that I've seen of theirs have this LCD display screen that you'll see in a minute, and it's a touch screen, which is kind of what sets their lights apart from others. So the DD2R uses the XML2 emitter, and it is rechargeable by a built-in charging port. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at it. Inside the cardboard box, you've got the plastic container sort of thing here, the light here, and then the accessories separate. So it comes with the manual, which is going to be useful because it operates a little bit differently than a lot of other lights you've used. It's got a warranty card here, and it also has a couple of spare O-rings and what looks like a little spare cover for the touch screen. And then the holster here is a pretty standard holster. You can see it's got a Velcro cover flap. So that's the back of it. Here's the front, the Velcro cover flap. The light slides right down in there, and you can attach it via a clip or this Velcro section or a pass-through for a belt if you don't want to have it come in loose. And it's got the Imalent name right there on that little tag. And then also, the last accessory it comes with is the charging cable. I'll go ahead and get that out. You can see the charging cable. It's got a USB port on one end and this just round port on the other. So, pretty simple. And finally, the light itself. So the DD2R, like I said, uses the Cree XML2 emitter. It's an upgrade to the XML emitter that many of you are probably familiar with, just more efficient and brighter. You can see it's well centered down there inside this smooth reflector, and it's pretty deep. It's about this far into the reflector, so it's pretty deep in there, which means it's going to have pretty good throw for the size of the head. That's a nice feature. On the head, you can also see the Imalent logo here, the model name, the power button with the little power symbol. The charging port is right here, and the LCD touchscreen's on this side. The body has a little bit of knurling here. It's a little bit smooth. Most of your grip on the light's going to come from just the shape of the body. And the tail here is flat. The light's completely controlled by this power switch on the side and the LCD screen. So if we open it up and take a look, on the inside, you might not be able to see all the way down there due to the lighting, but there's a spring at the far end and a spring at this end. So it's got a spring on both ends to make a connection with the battery. I'll go ahead and slip a battery in there, and you can see by the recoil there is a spring on that end. I'll pop it back in, and when it first makes connection, you'll see the screen lights up for a second. Just to let you know that it's on and working, the battery's good. So to turn the light on, you hit the power switch. The light comes on here, and now it's going to look pretty blue right now due to my camera's white balance settings. If you want to see the true tint, be sure to check out the full review that I mentioned. But you can see it's actually a pretty cool white in real life. It looks really blue here, but you can see immediately the touch screen lights up. Now this will stay on for about 30 seconds, or I can push the power button once I turn it back off, and I can just use the power button to toggle it on and off if I want to use it or not. Obviously having it off saves power, and you're not going to bump it on accident. So when I'm ready to turn the light back off, I just hold down on the power switch for about half a second. So it's one click to turn the light on and about half a second to turn the light back off. While the light is on, I'm able to adjust the brightness with the touch screen by sliding my finger up and down, or I can just touch a single spot. You see, I can just jump to a different brightness. I can have it all the way up at maximum or all the way down to the minimum, and you can see the minimum is very low. the maximum is very high, and I'll be testing the output and putting the results in the full review. You can also see if it'll focus close enough, a little battery icon there in the middle. Right now it's indicating a full charge, that right there. That will slowly go down as the battery is used up, and then it will start flashing when you have about 15 minutes of battery power left. And finally, to control the flashing modes, you can hold down on this mode icon there. You can see it goes into the strobe, and that brightness of the strobe is variable also. If I hold down on the mode for another second here, you can see I have SOS mode, and again that's variable brightness. Hold down on it again, and I'm back to the main. So I've got the strobe, the SOS, and just a solid output, and all those are brightness adjustable. And as I said, you just hold down the switch when you're ready to turn it off, and it does remember the brightness mode that you're in when you turn it off. So say if I have it on this low setting, I turn it off, I turn it back on, it remembers the low setting that I had. Or if I have it all the way up at max, I turn it off, turn it back on, it remembers the brightness there. One last thing is the charging. I want to see if I can get the cable to reach over to my outlet here to demonstrate, and it just slips right in that port. Here we go. I've got it plugged in, and you can see now that it's plugged in, it's got the charging icon here. I'll bring it up close. You can see it's got that picture of charging, and when it's fully charged, then the screen just turns back off. So that's how you know when it's fully charged. So this has been the Imalent DD2R, and if you stick around for just a second, we'll take it outside and give it a shot in the dark. Hello and welcome back to Review the Light. We've got the Imalent DD2R here in the backyard, so we are going to give it a shot in the dark. I'll go ahead and turn it on. Here we go. You can see the beam pattern here, and depending on the brightness of your screen, you should be able to see obviously the hotspot here, the quick transition into the spill, and then the spill comes out to about this area out here. So it's got a very good hotspot and a rather narrow spill, so it's a little bit more towards the throw end of the spectrum between throw and flood. It's a fairly cool beam, like I mentioned, and not extremely cool, but a little bit cool. It looks pretty accurate here on my camera. I'm not sure how it's going to show up on your screen, but again, if you check the full review that I'll post a link to there, you can see some good pictures of the beam and also the spectrum of it. So here you can see the baby pumpkin plant we've got growing there in a mini garden, and you can see the color of that. I'll point it at the ground a little bit so you can see how it renders the grass. That's pretty good there. And I will also, so you can see the throw a little bit. Here's the tree up above the garage. You can see obviously very easy to see what's going on up there. A good projection of the throw. So I will demonstrate the mode, or the brightness changing ability. So here we go. You can see the screen there. I'm just going to dial it down. There we go, we're all the way down to the minimum brightness here now. You can see it's very dim, and as I turn it back up, I can take it up and down as much to whatever brightness level I want. Pointing at the garage here, the brightest level, and then slowly dialing it down. I get to the minimum brightness now. I can barely see it on the camera here. You may or may not be able to see it on your screen, the small spot. In real life, I can see the spot, and I can barely make out the flood. If I were in a darker area, not really an urban area, then even the flood would probably still be pretty useful here. So that's just my eyes and what I can see here. So one more time, I'll just scale through the brightness settings, and as I mentioned, there are more brightness settings, quite a few more brightness settings than there are bars that show up on the touch screen here. The bars are just kind of an approximate thing. They don't represent discrete modes, so there's quite a few brightness settings to choose from, all the way down from the minimum up to the maximum. So I'll also demonstrate it just by pressing the power button. You can turn the screen off. It'll time out, I think, after about 30 seconds. But if you want to go ahead and turn it off or on, you can just hit the power button to do that, and then holding the power button for half a second to turn it back off. So this has been the Imalent DD2R, and again, if you haven't yet, go ahead and click this link up here to subscribe to my channel, this one to follow me on Facebook, and check out the full review by the link below. So thanks and have a good night.